Are you tired of neck pain and poor posture? In this video, I'm going to show you how you can fix it permanently. Forward head posture is becoming more and more popular, and it's estimated that 66% of the general population have some degree of forward head posture, and this can lead to neck pain, jaw pain, and headaches. It's important to be proactive and either prevent or treat your forward head posture today. Welcome back to another video. I'm Brendan Martinez. I'm currently getting my doctorate in physical therapy. And like I just mentioned, we're going to be going over 3 exercises that when performed consistently will help permanently get rid of that forward head posture. First things first, let's go over a little background information. Because our society is becoming more and more sedentary, we are on our phones and laptops much more than we used to be in the past. Because of this, many people have that forward head posture, which leads to upper cross syndrome. So to keep it simple, upper cross syndrome is when you have very weak, deep neck flexors and scapular muscles, and then conversely, you have very tight pecs, levator, scap, and upper traps. And like I just mentioned, because our society is super sedentary, you need to be proactive, because if not, you're most likely going to develop this upper cross syndrome or that forward head posture. And the worse your posture gets, the tighter and weaker some of your muscles will get, further exacerbating that poor posture, and it's just a downward spiral. And in today's video, we're only going to focus on that forward head posture, but I did cover some other postural deviations in a previous video, and I will leave a link to this at the end of the video. So make sure you stick around, watch this video, and then go watch that video. With that being said, let's jump into some exercises to help put you on the right track to finally start making a difference in your posture. Also, quick disclaimer, these are general recommendations, and I would highly recommend that you follow up with your doctor to make sure that the exercises talked about in this video are appropriate for you. Now, with all that out of the way, let's jump into exercise number 1, which is going to focus on strengthening our deep neck flexors. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, with that upper cross syndrome, forward head posture tends to stem from very weak deep neck flexors. In today's population, I'm willing to bet that at least half of the population has very weak deep neck flexors, not just including people with neck pain. Strengthening your deep neck flexors can be done just about anywhere, and I'm going to give you an example of an exercise that you could perform along with a progression and a regression in case it's too easy or too difficult. So the exercise that we're going to perform is seated chin tucks. To make sure you're performing this exercise properly, make sure you're sitting in a chair with back support, feet flat on the floor in a nice upright posture. Then something that you don't have to do but is a very good tactile cue and will help is to place your pointer finger on your chin, and this will dignify where the starting position is. Then all you got to do is try and tuck your chin as far away from your finger as you can, essentially trying to make a double chin. Then once you're in a chin tuck, try and hold this position for 1 to 2 seconds and then go back to your starting resting position. If this exercise is too easy, we can then go into a quadruped position, which is essentially when you're on your hands and knees, and then perform the exercise. In this position, we're going to be going against gravity, which will make doing a chin tuck even harder, and it's going to work your deep neck flexors even more. Alternatively, if seated chin tucks are too difficult, we can go into a supine position, which is when you're laying on your back. Now, this is the opposite of the progression that we just went over, because gravity is going to be assisting the movement, making the exercise easier. Just like any exercise or resistance training, we want to make sure that we ease ourselves into it. But ultimately, I want you to aim to perform a set of 20 every 2 hours. Now, I know this sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, doing 1 set's going to take you maybe a minute, so it's really not that much of a time commitment. If done every 2 hours, this will ultimately result in 5 sets per day, and this will put you on the right track to strengthening your deep neck flexors and help prevent or fix that forward head posture. And that wraps up exercise number 1. Now let's jump into exercise number 2, which is to stretch our upper traps and levator scaps. Now, I would argue that to some degree, we all have tightness in these 2 muscles, just because of society. A lot of people are working from home, on our phones, on our laptops. However, with that forward head posture, these muscles are going to be extremely tight. Now, it's important to note that with stretching, to achieve a physiological change in the muscle itself, we need to achieve a total duration of stretching of 10 minutes per week. Now, keeping this in mind, performing 3 reps of 30-second holds twice daily will easily help us hit that 10-minute per week mark. Now, a way that you can integrate this into your daily routine is to perform it first thing in the morning, right when you get up out of bed, and then alternatively, you perform it right before you go to sleep. It's also important to realize that a lot of times when we're counting in our head, most of the time we count faster than it's actually been. So instead of it being 30 seconds, realistically, we were only stretching for 20 to 25 seconds. My recommendation to you is to use a timer, whether that's on your phone or an actual timer, and this will ensure that you're stretching for 30 seconds instead of 20 to 25 seconds. Now, you may have done the math and realized that I said you need 10 minutes per week. but if you perform the stretching like I've mentioned, it's actually going to be 21 minutes per week. And that 10-minute recommendation is a minimum. So if we go over that, if done safely and properly, we're going to reap more benefits. So implement this, give it a try, and I promise you it's not only going to feel good, but it's going to help fix that posture. And with that being said, let me show you how you can stretch your upper trap and your levator scap. To stretch your upper trap, I want you to sit upright in a chair and hold onto the chair with your right arm. This will prevent your shoulder blade from rising, which would decrease the stretch. Then with your other hand, gently pull your left ear towards your left shoulder, and when done properly, it doesn't take much to start feeling the stretch in your right upper back. Then switch sides and perform again. And now let's go over how to stretch the levator scap. So we're still going to hold onto the chair with our right arm for the same reason. However, the direction that our head is going is where it's going to be different. So instead of trying to touch your left ear to your left shoulder, you want to try and bring your nose towards your left armpit as if you were trying to smell it. This may sound disgusting, but it's a great cue to ensure that you're properly stretching this muscle. And with these stretches and any stretch in general, we want to make sure that we're not going to the point of extreme or excessive pain. You want to go to the point of slight discomfort where you're feeling that stretch, because going further beyond to where it's extremely painful can lead to acute injuries, and that will further delay your progress and have a whole bunch of other negative effects down the line. Now before we jump into the third and final exercise, if you're enjoying the video so far, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Alright, rounding out the list at number 3, we're going to talk about scapular strengthening. When you have weak scapular muscles, this can lead to the forward rounded shoulders, which can enhance that forward head posture. Therefore, scapular strengthening should not only be done as a therapeutic measure, but it should also be done as a proactive or preventative measure. The main muscles that we're going to be targeting in our back is going to be our mid and lower traps, along with the rhomboids. There are many ways that you could train these muscles, but I'm going to go over an exercise that will train all three. And just like the deep neck flexor exercise, I'm also going to give a progression and a regression. So to perform this exercise, you're going to want to be in a prone position, which is when you're lying on your stomach. Then we'll have our arms bent at our side as if you're trying to make two 90-degree angles with your arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades to raise your arms off of the floor, and then we're going to try and bring our arms overhead while still keeping your back engaged and arms off the floor. Once your arms are overhead, place them back onto the floor. We're going to take a 1-second break, and then we're going to go back to the starting position. Essentially, we're going to be going from a W to a Y position and vice versa. And if you want a little extra credit, you can also perform a chin tuck during this. So that's a little added bonus. Now this exercise is not easy, and if you tried it and it's too difficult, let's go over a regression that you can still work your back muscles. A regression for this exercise is banded rows. Almost everyone has some variation of a TheraBand that you at least can use initially when trying to perform this exercise. You want to tie your TheraBand onto a stable surface that you know will not move, because we obviously don't want it coming and hitting us. And then once you have it on a stable surface, we're just going to bring our arms back and do a row. Be sure to really squeeze your back, and you can pause 1 to 2 seconds if you want to make this exercise just a little bit harder. Then if this exercise is too easy, we can add some resistance and use some light dumbbells. I would highly recommend slowly increasing the load, but make sure that your form is picture perfect before even considering increasing the load. Regardless of the variation you choose, try and perform 3 sets of 12 twice a day. And most likely these muscles are going to be sore in the upcoming days, just because once again, these muscles are weak, they're not used to being trained. So just like to throw that out there and make sure you keep that in mind. Implementing all 3 of these tips is going to put you on the right track to either preventing or fixing that forward head posture and give you the relief from pain and increase your confidence that you've been dreaming of. If you found today's video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe for more, and also be sure to hit push notifications to make sure you never miss an upload. And if you have any questions, be sure to drop a comment down below and I'll try my best to answer it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.